Hello world of YouTube. Lately I've been feeling very nostalgic. I've been reminiscing a lot on myself growing up and my past and stuff, and I've been looking through all the games that I have for the various consoles that I have them for, and it's led me to make a decision of what I want to do. I want to do a retrospective of sorts here on the channel. A group of top 11s that reflect around the video games on consoles that I grew up on. My top 11 games of every console that I played growing up. I'm going to do all these in chronological order. And again, the reason why I started to do this is because I just felt very nostalgic. I've been feeling very nostalgic lately. I've been playing all these games that I had growing up a lot lately, and this is kind of just what inspired me to make these lists. I'm going to start off with my very first console. This bad boy right here. This Sega Genesis is 18 years old, over 18 years old. I got it on my 3rd birthday, and the game that's in there right now is my first game I ever had, first game I ever played growing up, Sonic & Knuckles. Now, Sonic & Knuckles, shockingly enough, is not on this list. It is an honorable mention. I do have a few of those on this list, but Sonic & Knuckles, while it has some things that precede over the game, the Sonic game that is on this list, because there is a Sonic game on this list. It's a Genesis list. How can I not have a Sonic game on here? I don't like it as much as I do the game that's on the list. With that being said, though, Sonic & Knuckles is probably my 2nd favorite Sonic game. It's a fantastic Sonic game. I definitely recommend you play that, if not the one that's on the list. Other games that are on the list, one of them I don't have, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Loved that game growing up. Along with Adventures of Batman and Robin. This is going to sound weird, but Judge Dredd. This game was actually really good. MTV's Beavis and Butthead. And Musha. This game right here is fucking amazing. It was literally on this list before I thought of a different game that I like more than this one. But if you ever have the chance to get this game, Musha, it's a really good game. I highly recommend it. And with all those honorable mentions said and done, let's go ahead and get into it. These are my top 11 Sega Genesis games.
Yeah, man, this should be great. This should be great.
Number 11. Now you may be asking yourself 2 things right now. 1, the fuck is Dune? And 2, the fuck is this game? 2 very valid questions. Dune is a science fiction franchise that started in the 60s as a series of novels by Frank Herbert that was then adapted into a film in the 1980s by artsy, strange, very out there director David Lynch. Now, I have only seen one David Lynch film, and it was not this one. And in fact, when I first got this game when I was like 12, I didn't know what this game was. I didn't even know it was based on anything. All I saw was that it was an RTS. And I've never talked about it on the channel, but I have a deep-seated love for real-time strategy games, and this is no exception. It's a lot more simplistic than a lot of the RTSs that I'm used to, but I think this game is still fantastic nonetheless. RTS fans may love it for the fact that it's kind of a nice romp through a somewhat simplistic RTS game. And what I like about this game is that it doesn't hold your hand, but it's not the hardest thing in the world. It eases you into the progressions that the game throws forth from the get-go. Essentially, you pick one of 3 houses, and you go through the missions that they tell you to go through. And it's a fairly straightforward game. It's a fairly straightforward RTS, but I love it nonetheless. And I definitely recommend it for those who love RTS games that are just awesome. The only issue I really have with the game is that you can't constantly check your stats. You just kind of have to remember what you have to do before you start the mission. With that being said, that's a minor grievance. The rest of the game is still fantastic. It's, again, very simple, but it paved the way for a lot of RTSs to come. And it's actually called Dune 2 on the PC, but on the Genesis, this is the only Dune game, and it's Dune Battle for Arkansas. I know it's not Arkansas, but that's what I used to call it. Battle for Arkansas. It's a great game. It's fun, awesome, sweetness.
Yeah, man, this should be great. This should be great.
Number 10. Oh my god, it's so loud. Now, Desert Strike is a game that I got, again, around the time I got Dune, when I was in my early to mid-teens. One thing I was taken aback by when I first played this game is how quiet it was. Aside from that blisteringly loud opening cinematic and the interludes between the missions themselves are actually very atmospheric. The only sounds you can really hear are the chopper blades and the guns and the explosions. And that's one thing that I immediately loved about this game. This game is so quiet, it entraps you into the missions, and that is awesome. With it being the first in the jungle, I guess, anthology, it's certainly a fantastic wartime game. I loved this entire game's experience. However, it is extremely hard. This game is ball-bustingly difficult, and I don't remember it being so. When capturing footage for this game, you may notice it's only the first mission. It's because I spent like an hour trying to beat this goddamn mission, and then when I beat it, it told me I still failed. So fuck you, Desert Strike, for being so hard. But I love you because you were so amazingly fun to play when I was growing up. And I love you. You're so great, Desert Strike. That's why you're my number 10 pick. I recommend any of the games in this franchise, but I picked this one mostly because it was, one, the first I had played, and two, the one I remember playing the most. I don't have Urban Strike, but I do have Jungle Strike, and that one is just as fun, if not a little less, than the first one, Desert Strike.
Yeah, man, this should be great.
Number 9. Now, while I'm not one of Blizzard's lovely, lovely devoted followers of all of its games, I do respect them as a game company, and in turn, I put one of their games on this list. The Lost Vikings, of course, as you can see by the title screen that I already whipped on by. Now, this game is another puzzle game. I know what you're thinking. Where's the action? Where's the high stellar octane speed that the Genesis was advertised as? Well, the Genesis wasn't just advertised as that. It was advertised as an older brother's console with a lot of games like Desert Strike and Dune behind it. There's a lot more complex games on the Genesis that people may give it credit for, and this and the ones preceded have been examples of that. The Lost Vikings is a fun, kind of funny, quirky puzzle game that involves you taking control of 3 Vikings. Olaf, Olgig, and I can't remember all 3 of their names, but they each have a specific characteristic, and it's a fun puzzle, platforming, somewhat action game. One can use a sword / arrow, one can attack, one can defend, and one can move fast. And you have to use all of these characteristics to travel through various worlds, solving various puzzles. What I love about this game is not only that it's actually pretty funny, the cutscenes in the game and the dialogue are really well written. The puzzles get really hard and very intricate, and you honestly need to keep all 3 Vikings alive, and that's the challenge. If one dies, you're screwed. The game is not forgiving. You only have 3 hits to your life, and then you're dead, and you have to give up and try again. Thankfully, I guess it's forgiving in the fact that there are a shit ton, if not infinite, continues / lives. So they mostly want you to take your time and solve each of these puzzles. And it's not that they're extremely hard. You just really have to put your brain to it by figuring out who goes where. And that's the beauty in it. And in any good puzzle game, the puzzles aren't innately hard. You just have to think before you really tackle them. And it challenges our mentality of just run and gun and go. Now, this game is definitely not a hidden gem, and it is also on the Super Nintendo, but there's a couple of games like that on this list that are on both consoles. These are just ones that I played on the Genesis and loved on said console. That being said, I highly suggest you pick up this fun, quirky game that was put out by one of gaming's most respected, if not respected, loved gaming companies nowadays.
Yeah, man, this should be great. This should be great.
Number 8. Earthworm Jim. I love you so much. I love you so much, I actually LP'd you on this channel. Yes, you figured, you probably could have guessed Earthworm Jim is going to be on this list since I have, in fact, LP'd the game. Now, if you haven't watched that LP, go check it out. It's linked on screen now. I did it for 16-bit summer last year. And the game itself is action-adventure. Here's the action-adventure love the Genesis was marketed for. But the game itself is a typical visually 90s game. There's lots of farts, boogers, just anything you can think of. Just throw it in the bag, and it's in here. You got bomb-throwing cats. You got a queen pooping slug. There's a lot of crazy crap in this game, and I definitely recommend that you check it out because it's one of the weirdest games on the Genesis aside from maybe Boogerman and Toe Jam and Earl. You go from junkyards to hell to literally a place called Buttville in the span of this game's 8 levels. I think it's 8. Either way, this game is awesome. It's fun, and it holds up extremely well. So much so that they made an HD remake for the Xbox Live Arcade. This game is just one of those games that's both beloved and yet has a cult following at the same time. It's Earthworm freaking Jim. Yeah. Love this game. It's awesome. Fucking love Earthworm Jim.
Yeah, man, this should be great. This should be great.
Number 7. Shout out to LucasArts. You will be missed. This game, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, is, again, like Earthworm Jim, one of those games that's a cult classic, yet highly revered at the same time. You can say this game to someone who is a gamer, and they probably have heard of this game because, 1, the title alone is very absurd, but 2, they could have played it and know that it's just an awesome cooperative and solo experience. With various worlds that sprawl across backyards and pyramids and castles and swamps and so much with a variety of monsters, not even just zombies. This game is like a B-movie head's dream rolled up in one. You play as 1 or 2 kids and you just vanquish monsters. This game is so amazing. You should definitely play it, and there needs to be an HD remake of this game ASAP, ACASAP, A-STAT, STAT. I need, and every other person that loves this game needs, a legitimate remake of this game that could have online play and just so much awesomeness. I love this game. It's another one of those games that was on both the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, and it could be loved and respected by both crowds. I remember seeing an ad for this game the very first time I ever heard of this game. It was in an ad in a comic book. It was an Avengers comic. I was reading it, and I thought, what the hell is this game? And then I got it later on down the line. I was like, oh my god, this game is amazing. I remember looking at this game. And yes, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, just a fucking awesome game. You should play it if you haven't yet. Get it. I'm sure it's somewhere online that you can play it. You will not be disappointed. This game is so much insane awesomeness, McGee, that I love it. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. It's a good game.
Yeah, man, this should be
Number
great.
6. Oh, Castlevania Bloodlines, I love you so much. I love you so much, I LP'd you on the channel! Just like Earthworm Jim, I LP'd this game back in the early days of my LPing days. Castlevania, underappreciated game in the franchise, if you ask me. The only Genesis Castlevania game, the only Sega Genesis game, I believe. Yeah, I think it's the only, this is the only Sega game, this is the only Castlevania game on a Sega console. That's a shame. This game is fucking awesome. It was one of the first, if not the first, to introduce someone who didn't use a whip, and just featured a very fun yet challenging twist to the popular Konami franchise. Again, I LP'd this game playing as the non-whip character, Eric Licard, which you can check out linked on screen now and below in the under thingy, along with the Earthworm Jim LP. I love this game. I think it's fun. I think it's just the right amount of challenge and just provides just a nice taste of Castlevania for fans of the franchise who wanted something a bit different. Not only do you tackle Dracula and his castle, but you tackle monsters all throughout Europe, and it's a nice game. It's fun. And the music, oh my god, that music. It's so good. It just is so good. I could wrap my face in it and just boil it like a burrito pop. It's so good. But that's to be said of all Castlevania games. Am I right? Now, with that being said, this game is just another fantastic installment of the Castlevania franchise. Nothing else I can say. Nothing else to say about it. That's it. Let's go. Let's move on. Let's keep going. Talk about the next game.
Yeah, man, this should be great. This should be
Number
great.
5. Now, I love X-Men, and I love Gambit, and I love Gambit and X-Men. I've talked about my love of comic books somewhat on the channel, and my love of Gambit somewhat on the channel. So a game that has me play as Gambit, I'm fucking sold. Let me buy a game now, and I did. When I was like 10, I got this game, and I popped in the first time, and I fell in love. This game is so good and very, very hard. This game not only has Gambit, though, it has all good X-Men. Oh my god, it's got Nightcrawler, it's got Cyclops, it's got Wolverine, and it's got a lovely aesthetic that lets you change between the four. What I love about this game, not even just the fact that it has my favorite X-Men in it, and some of the other ones that I really, really love, is that it does provide a really challenging experience to your fucking repertoire of games. But it does have really good gameplay mechanics that work really well, like the swapping out, and even the side mutant helpers like Archangel that help by shooting across the screen and causing damage to everyone on field. I think that this game is a fantastic adaptation of the comic book / cartoon show franchise, and I think that if you love that, you'll love this game for show. It features a variety of worlds, not just the one showing, and provides a loving experience for those who love the comics and the cartoon. It's a good game. It's got Gambit in it. I'm sold. Take my money. You already took my money. Take it again. It's a good game. It's got Gambit and it's got Nightcrawler, 2 of my favorite X-Men. I love them so much. Get this game.
Yeah, man,
Number
this should be great.
4.
This should be great.
Is a sequel, A Streets of Rage. On this list? What? Streets of Rage started off as a Final Fight clone, but became so much more with Streets of Rage 2. And not only is the music better, are the power-ups more integrated, and the game as a whole feels more fluid, there's one thing in this game that makes it that much better than the first one. One single, solitary little guy. And his name is Skate! Look at this guy! Look at this little OP piece of shit! He's an awesome character. He's just amazing. His special is awesome. His combos feel very fluid, and he's just the best character in this game. I never played the third one, I want to clarify, but I played the second one so much more because Skate was a character. And not only is this game fun by yourself, it's fun with friends. Friends that I couldn't get to record this game with me. I love every single second of this game. It's a fun, challenging experience that makes the first one look like just a Final Fight clone. It's flashier than the first game. It's more musical. Everything about this game is more in the best way possible. It's the epitome of the early 90s, wrapped up in a game full of neon lights. And Skate, oh my god, he's a fucking awesome character! Ah!
Yeah, man, this should be great. This should be great.
Number 3. I love RPGs! I know that may not be said with my track record of LPs that I've done, but I really love RPGs. And this game is one that I cannot wait to LP. This franchise right here, Shining Force, so the Shining series in general. I don't know if I'm going to play the first one, Shining the Darkness. I do have it, but it's more of a dungeon crawler and not an RPG. But either way, Shining Force is technically the second game of this franchise, and it is honestly the better of the first 2. The second one is really awesome, but I played the first one more. That's why it's on this list. I love Shining Force 2, don't get me wrong. It's the first one, played more. And essentially, this is the Genesis' answer to Fire Emblem, which is a fucking awesome Nintendo franchise. It's a tactical-based RPG that is a bit more forgiving than Fire Emblem, Because the niche, the thing of Fire Emblem is, you lose someone, you lose them forever. But Fire Emblem's answer to that is, you lose them for the battle, you can pay money, bring them back at church to come back alive. Then Jesus! So, the game itself is a bit more forgiving than its counterpart on Nintendo, but I still think that it's a really fun, immersive game nonetheless. If you love fantasy, and you love challenge, and you love battles and tactics, you may love this game. I'm a huge fan of tactical RPGs, and this is definitely one of the best in the genre that I've ever played. It's got really interesting, fun characters, and it's cool. It's a nice romp through tactical RPG land with a story that may seem very stereotypical, but it delivers itself very well. It's fun. It gives my thumbs up. That's why it's on the list.
Yeah, man, this should be great.
Number 2. Another sequel on this list? What? Mortal Kombat is a franchise that I love. It's a fighting franchise that I love, and it was the first fighting franchise I ever played, and this was the first game in said franchise. This game and I go way back, and in fact, one of my most popular videos on my channel is of me getting my ass kicked in this game, sadly. That being said, I still love this game. I still love going back and playing it. I mean, I gathered footage for this episode of the Top 11s to do, so obviously I still love playing it. But if you haven't played Mortal Kombat, why? It's just a classic fighting franchise, and this improved vastly on the first game's handling by making it feel much smoother, the animations look better, and the character selection was a lot more varied. It's what a proper sequel should be. Now, I'm not saying this is the... Actually, I am saying this is the best of Mortal Kombat, because I don't hate 3, but I don't like it as much as this one, and any other iteration after this just isn't as good to me. I think this is honestly one of the best, if not the best, Mortal Kombat games in general. The character selection wasn't too vast, the moves felt really tight and crisp, and the levels were really awesome and vivid looking. And that could be partially nostalgia for me, but I love this game. It's really good, and it stands up to me as one of the best fighting games of all time, really. It's good. Rain's my dog! That's it. Let's go to number 1!
Yeah, man, this should be
Number
great.
1. Yes. It's this one. Which you probably could have guessed it was. It is. This game is the best Sonic game to me because it's so awesome. It introduced my favorite character in the series, Tails, and provided a shorter version of each level. I like the 2-level layout, at least until later in the game. I like a lot of the music in this game. A lot of it is damn near classic, except for the boss theme. Sonic & Knuckles did that better. And it introduced one of the best ways to get the Chaos Emeralds that's ever been introduced in the entire franchise. It also introduced spin dashing, which was definitely needed in the first Sonic the Hedgehog game and was sadly missing. This game just improved upon the first one tenfold, provided some of the best music in the game, like I said, and introduced one of the best sidekicks in gaming history. I love Tails. He's an adorable little two-tailed fox, and this game is very near and dear to my heart. Plus, you can put it on Sonic & Knuckles and play as the red-headed echidna for the game, and have him do the best emerald collecting game of this entire game's history. I love the emerald collecting game in this. But either way, but aside from that, the world's just memorable, and this entire game is just one big, awesome fest. The bosses aren't too difficult, and the levels themselves are both challenging, yet fun, which is a hard balance to achieve in a Sonic game. You can still feel like you're going fast in a lot of instances, and you aren't tied down to a lot of the platforming bugs that kind of plagued the first game. Everything just feels smoother, and the entire experience is that much better. Aside from, again, the boss music, because it is better in Sonic & Knuckles.
And there you have it. There's my top 11 Sega Genesis games. Hopefully you did enjoy this list. I don't know when I'm going to be making the next one or when I'm going to be doing these. I don't really have a set schedule to these, but I did want to do this retrospective. I figured I'd throw the first one up now, see what you guys think of it, get your thoughts, your opinions on the format of it, because it is different than my other top 11s. Hopefully you enjoyed the list in general. Hopefully it piqued your interest in some games you may not have known of. Obviously, number one right there. Amazing game. But I'm going to get out of here. Next time, the next list we're going to be doing for top 11s is going to be a bit of an upgrade. It's not going to be this system's competitor, but this competitor's successor, the Nintendo 64. So come back for this top 11 retrospective with my top 11 Nintendo 64 games. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to this list. Hopefully, again, you enjoyed this list. But I have been Viralrak. You guys take it to yourselves in situations, and I'll see you another day.